Okay, there we go. So good morning. Good morning, everyone, those here on the East Coast, the Midwest, and for those of you who might be in Europe, good afternoon. Thank you again for joining us today. So my name is Erica Verdes. I'm the J-1 Visa Program Specialist here at Italy America Chamber of Commerce, and I'm joined here by Sylvia Pera from More Than Grapes. She's one of our supervisors who hosts J1s at her company, and also one of More Than Grapes' current J1s, Giorgio Muzzetta, and he's currently training in management, sales, marketing, communication. And we also are joined today by One Government Center, City of Toledo. So we have on the supervisor side, Ricky Beret, legislative administrator, and one of their J1s who just recently finished his J1 program here, Andrea Grandin. So the purpose of today's webinar is just to give you an overview of the J1 program. You may or may not be familiar with the program, just an overview of the program requirements and what is expected from the company side and candidate side, the exchange visitor, and then an opportunity to hear from our panelists here regarding their experience using the J1 programs, like the host company, and also from the candidate side. So let me just, I'm going to share my screen for the first few minutes. I just have just the presentation. We'll go through that with you. One moment, just to go over the initial. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so here, I'm just going to go over the slides briefly, like I mentioned. So just an overview about Italy America Chamber of Commerce. So we've been in existence here in New York since 1887, and our mission really is to bring together Italian American business and improve Italian American business relations. And we have member companies from small companies, medium-sized companies, and larger companies as well. And we've been, in terms of the J1 sponsor, like we've been sponsoring for 20 plus years. So 2002, I believe, is the exact year we started as a sponsor. And we sponsor, so here, just an overview of our other services. So member network organization, we also have different events and webinars throughout the year. So webinars like the one today, and different networking events, industry-based events, the J1 Visa program, which is the focus of our webinar today, and also the focus on the Italian brands, true Italian tastes. So yes, just to go over in a nutshell before handing over to our panelists, what is the J1 Visa program? So it is a non-immigrant cultural exchange visa. And the purpose of it is to give companies in the US and recent graduates, current university students from abroad, an opportunity to learn from each other in their specific industry, acquire new skills, and also to share each other's culture as well. So the Italy America Chamber of Commerce, we're one of many J1 sponsors throughout the US, and we're overseen by US Department of State. So our role is to work hand in hand with our host companies and incoming candidates to ensure that the paperwork is in line with Department of State requirements, and also not just to provide support for the application process, but throughout the J1 program as well. And so like I mentioned earlier, so there are many J1 visa categories, but specifically we specialize in the intern and trainee category. For trainees, to qualify for that category, maximum duration is 18 months. The candidate has to have already graduated from university or professional post-secondary certificate and have at least 1 year relevant work experience acquired outside of the US. And it could be combination of different like internships, work experiences. It doesn't necessarily have to be one year at one specific company. And for those candidates who may not have a university degree, they could potentially also qualify for the trainee visa if they can prove at least 5 years relevant work experience obtained outside of the US. And then for the intern category, maximum duration is 12 months here in the US. That's open to current university students enrolled in university outside of the US, or if they're currently pursuing their university degree, they would qualify for the intern category. And in addition to that, so there are different industries that we could sponsor. So you could see here on the right, management, business, commerce, finance, so the most common industries that we see, but we also sponsor candidates that will be training, interning in public administration and law, hospitality and tourism, which is new for us this year. And then the STEM field, science, engineering, architecture, mathematics, and industrial occupations. And this, so like I was mentioning like earlier, like the role of our sponsor is to really work with the company and the candidate throughout the application process and to ensure that the candidate has great experience here in the US and to provide resources to them as well. And overall, just to create citizen ambassadors. Okay, like here, so our panelists will delve more into this, the benefits of hosting, but it's an opportunity to acquire international talent on your team for a certain period of time, up to 18 months, and the opportunity to gain new perspective within your specific industry, but also culturally as well. And here, so I didn't have room to put all of the companies that we currently work with, but here are some of the companies that we work with that that host J1s. So you can see here More Than Grapes, office of the city of Toledo, and then a few restaurants here as we just were designated hospitality and tourism. So we can now sponsor candidates who would like to come to train as like chefs, front hotel, like office, etc. as well. Okay. Okay, and then this here, just in a nutshell, what we require on behalf of the host organization, host company. So the host company must be a current member with Italy America Chamber of Commerce, just to really benefit from all the services that we provide that you mentioned earlier. Like we just don't do the J1, but our mission really is to like bring together, strengthen the ties between Italian and American businesses. And then, like I said, I would work with you like closely for the application process to ensure the paperwork is filled out. But one of the documents required from the company is the training plan. And that's a government document, Department of State, has to be as detailed as possible, outlining what the intern trainee will be learning, the skills that they'll be acquiring here in the US. And once the IIC has reviewed the potential like training here in the US and we agree to move forward, we'll walk you through the next steps. And then also some documents required from the candidate side to confirm that they have their university degree, the relevant work experience, or if they're current students, their proof of current enrollment. And then one of the last steps of the process is I have a pre-departure call via Zoom with each candidate just to prepare them with the questions they'll be asked at the consular appointment. So we're really hands-on sponsor here. Okay. Yes, I'm not going to go into too much detail like here, but just some common requirements, just in terms of the host company, we just ensure that there's sufficient like resources to host. And we also check in periodically with the candidate and company, see how the program is going, and we're required by Department of State as well to collect midpoint and final evaluations. Okay. Right. And then, yes, this is just going to more detail what is expected of the host company, and also an important part with the J-1 program. So since it's a non-immigrant visa, it's not your typical work visa. We ensure that there's a designated supervisor on site in the same industry as the candidate to ensure that there's a bona fide training, and that's also reflected on the training plan that I mentioned earlier. Okay, so thankfully this doesn't happen like very often, but if there's like a case where course organizations not complying with Department of State or our internal like regulations, these are the courses of action that we would take. Like we would have initial call, see like what's going on, see if we could provide additional like training, but only in very egregious situations would we and the candidates program. So like I said, that doesn't happen very often because, we really work hand in hand with the host organization to ensure that everything, the expectations are clear with them. Okay, yes, and just like I mentioned earlier, like our support doesn't stop once the candidate receives the J-1 visa and arrives in the US to start their program. We're really here throughout the program to check in, provide additional resources when needed, like I mentioned. Okay, here just I can take a look at this as well. We also have this information on our website, our current fees. So you'll see there's two different fees here. So for new member price, that's for companies that are not yet members of the Italy America Chamber of Commerce. And for if the company is already a member, price is slightly less. But here you can see the above price. It doesn't only include the administrative fee for us to process the visa application. It also includes one of the government fees, the CVIS fee, the health insurance coverage for the candidate. The candidate will also get a complimentary young executive membership during their program here. So it's a comprehensive fee, and here are potential additional costs for the company that you could see here as well. Okay, yes, these are different membership levels. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, but yeah, we have about 350 plus members in the tri-state area and different industries as well. And yes, so you could, I'll put this again in the chat later, but you can always reach out to us with more questions on the J-1 program, information on our website, our social media. Here's my direct email, rodas@etelchamber.org, and here is our general email address as well. So I'm going to stop the screen share now, and then we'll start the Q&A portion of the presentation. Okay. So first, so I just have for you to all have a comprehensive overview of the program, not just our point of view as the sponsor. So we'll start with first some initial questions from the host company side. So Ricky and Sylvia can answer simultaneously and provide your input as well. So first is more of general question. What motivated you and your company specifically to onboard J-1? And as a follow-up to that, if you could speak to any challenges you encountered when initially recruiting the J-1 candidate, and how did you overcome that?
Is it okay for me to speak? I don't want to interrupt anyone. This program worked well for us. We were working to do some international promotional research for the city of Toledo through our Toledo Sister Cities International Network and our Regional Growth Partnership. We already had a sister city in Italy. We were already familiar with the IULM program that Andrea Grandin, who's also on the call, was a part of. And what we wanted to do is that university program required them to do an internship in order to get their master's degree. And so we organized to find the funding to work with Toledo Sister Cities International and the Italy America Chamber to do the paperwork to get him here appropriately. And what the objective is Andrea was going to be our pilot program. He was going to do the initial research about what other cities in the United States were doing in regard to promoting themselves internationally through sister city networks or otherwise. And then we were going to go to a second year and a third year. One would focus on tourism, which I note you've added to your program now. And the third would focus on economic development opportunities in terms of foreign direct investment in the United States, which here in Northwest Ohio, there's a significant interest in. The challenges that we had was that we were going to try to do this through a local university, which would have been far more complicated than what we encountered with the Italy America Chamber. And eventually that option fell apart, and we had to seek an alternate option. Fortunately, I was already, from my research, familiar with the IACC, as was Andrea's university in Italy, who helped facilitate conversation between us. And I have to say, in terms of, it was a more expensive route to go IACC, but it was worth it because they walked us through all the paperwork. They were very accessible in answering our questions. Fortunately, our plan or our sketch of what we were trying to do fit really nicely with the J-1 visa program and with the requirements, so that wasn't really a hurdle. But this was extremely valuable to us and simplified more than anything. And if we do this program again, if we continue with the next phase, we definitely want to go back through this process with IACC.
Thank you, Ricky, for your input and that and sharing your experience. Sylvia, would you like to share your experience with More Than Grades?
Absolutely. Also for us, having trainees and interns has been very beneficial. So Giorgio is our current trainee, and he's bringing cultural perspectives that are unique and they are enriching our company. And basically, we have realized that having a multicultural, diverse workplace always leads to new techniques, skills, and also brings innovative ideas and solutions. For us, company culture has always been like a very important part of our company, and having the chance to bring some interns or trainee that are willing to put themselves in such a challenging, most of the time facing a new country, new home, new friendships, that maybe they're having their first time job experience. is for our company and our team opportunity to grow, to learn new things, and also put things in perspectives. That also is helping our employees to develop mentorship and traineeship skills. And it's just nice to see how they are willing to help trainees and interns to feel comfortable and helping them like starting everything from zero most of the time. And another thing that we found like interesting is that having someone from another country helps facilitating our international partnership, and having someone that knows different cultures and different languages also is helping our company to grow. In terms of recruiting, definitely choose the right candidate is very crucial, because as we saw, is definitely a company investment in terms of money and time, of course. So for us, the selection process is very important. So we do a lot of interviews with the potential candidates. And then actually the support of the Italian American Chamber of Commerce was very beneficial, because it is the J1 is definitely comparing to other work visa is more easy, but there are still a lot of US immigration laws. And so it's been nice to have the Italian American Chamber to help us understanding all the documents and helping us with the training program. So having this filter and this help definitely helped the whole process.
Thanks so much, Sylvia. And then as a follow-up to that, if both of you could speak to any either to your own experience or just any like advice to companies in terms of, I know you spoke in terms of the initial recruitment of the candidate, but if you could also speak to any like challenges you perceived like when like onboarding the J1s. I know Sylvia, you mentioned for a candidate who has been abroad before, it's slightly easier for them to the cultural immersion. But yeah, any insights like on that, like for example, any candidate experiences like culture shock, or especially for candidates if this is their first time in the US, like they might not know how to like navigate different like services like the American like healthcare system or public transportation, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what we think is basically this is not just a work experience, it's a life experience. And so what we try to do with More Than Grapes is to help our interns and trainees just to, from the beginning, with also accommodations and, as you say, transportation, because we are in Chicago, and Chicago is a very big city. And there are different areas. There are areas that there are more, comfortable to live. Is such a different melting pot. And so what we try to do is also helping the new J1 to look for accommodation, because there are a lot of scams out there. So we also help them looking through websites and find like a nice apartment, or can understand what are their first initial needs. And another thing it's very important for us is the health insurance. So understanding all the, the American Chamber of Commerce provides the health insurance, but also understanding, explaining how it works, because comparing to Italy is a completely different systems. There are different places where you can go if you have different medical needs. So basically what we try to do is like help them integrate at work, but also help them like starting like this new temporary life in Chicago, like so in a different country.
From
Thanks,
the
Sylvia.
perspective,
Go ahead, Ricky.
This first year it was easier for us because we were already familiar with Andrea's capabilities and his skills and his ability to do the work. Where I imagine that will be more challenging is when or if we continue the program, we won't necessarily have a student that has the grasp of English that Andrea had. And so there may be more challenges with if we continue with our partnership with this particular university in Milan. That would be the concern. We also would have probably more of a cultural adjustment with another student because Andrea, we had already experienced him before. He was already familiar with our town, and we were able to provide him all the resources he needed to get to and from work and a place to stay and all. The next phase, we probably would double up and get two students at the same time so they could split a corporate apartment that we would pay for so that we could share that expense, etc. We also work with some international high school students, and I know the cultural adjustment for them is quite serious, especially as Andrea will tell you, I'm sure, the food adjustment from the Italian cultural food to the American food was an adjustment for him. So also the medical concerned us a lot. Fortunately, we had no incidents with any medical issues with Andrea, but that is always a concern about knowing what'll be covered, what won't be covered, how good the policy is, etc. It was nice that that the insurance was wrapped in the ACC package for us. That also made us feel a little bit more comfortable. But the cultural thing I can imagine would be very challenging for students and may make or break a program if they have a difficulty adjusting.
Thank you both. And then we have one question so far I could answer like quickly in the Q&A. So for Maria, she's asking, how long does it take to process the J-1 visa from submission to approval? So that's a very good question. So our average processing time at the IACC, once the candidate company agreed to move forward with the application with us, on average about 6 to 8 weeks, especially in the busy period for us in the embassy, which will be the summer months and towards the end of year, beginning of the year. So I generally recommend to candidates and companies to start the process about 2 months prior to the target start date in the US, just to give enough time for processing in case there's like follow-up needed on the paperwork, but also depends like if it's not like a busy season and all the documents are submitted on time and there's not much follow-up needed on the documents, we could process within 4 to 6 weeks, but in general 6 to 8 weeks, and that's just the processing time with us. It doesn't include the time to schedule and attend the consular appointment at the US Embassy or consulate abroad, because that wait time can fluctuate depending on the time of the year as well. So that's why I say start the process about 2 months in advance, if possible, just to give enough time for processing. And I'll also just type the answer here. And then another like follow-up question, we talked about it briefly at the beginning, but yeah, Ricky and Sylvia, if you could also speak to a little bit more about like the training aspect of the J-1 program and how you and your team ensure that your J-1 exchange visitors receive the adequate supervision and provide feedback as well on like any projects that they're working on for your company organization.
For us, working with it was a graduate, Andrea was in a graduate program, and for us working to not only get what we needed from the program, but to ensure that Andrea had a high level of quality experience and demonstrable experience for his resume, we wanted to make sure that the research and paper that he was writing for us had the highest credentials. So we enlisted a volunteer from Toledo Sister Cities from their board who has a PhD in communication. And so she supervised on a weekly basis his academic portion of the paper and the writing of the paper and et cetera, and the outline to keep him on schedule, et cetera. We, of course, supervised him on a day-to-day basis so that he could ask questions, we could guide him. We gave him an outline of basically what the parts of the paper we were looking for, questions we were answered. Of course, through his research that expanded, so we were able to have ongoing discussions constantly about new things he discovered that we wanted to explore, etc. So the hands-on part was good, having him right near us in the same facility right next door where we could have dialogue was very helpful. Giving him an outline of exactly what we were looking for, which of course he had even before he got here. And then of course, making sure he ended up with something of high quality that he could present on his resume, which was through the academic supervisor, the PhD in communication, which is in the same field that he was working in, I think was a good combination. And we had no issues whatsoever. He did a great job.
Yeah. Sylvia?
Yeah, for us, Georgia is doing a traineeship in marketing and communication. So we have our director of sales, marketing, communication. That he's his supervisor, and basically is like a teamwork. So there are weekly meetings with the supervisor, daily support. And group projects. So what we try to do is also having Giorgio work in groups, attend seminars, so experience the work, like the work in the office, but also go outside and attend seminars, knowing more also about American culture or the American market, and that can enrich his skills also for his future career outside of the US. And basically through these projects that he's taking care of, having also feedbacks from the team, the supervisor. So basically it's a different project in different areas of marketing and communication. And I think that's basically this continuous work and supervision from the director that has what this traineeship is being.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for both of your perspectives on the host organization side. So just to make sure we have enough time to hear from everyone, I'm going to switch over now to Andrea and Giorgio for them to give their input and feedback on their experience as a J1. So first, so similar, my first opening question, Andrea and Giorgio, what motivated you first to not only apply for the J-1 program, but to apply to your host organization?
So hi everyone, thank you Erica for the invite. It's an honor for me to be here today and having the opportunity to share my experience. So as Ricky said, I had to complete an internship program in order to graduate for my master's degree in communication for international relations. And basically, I could have done anywhere in the world. The school didn't tell me anything about where to go or whatever. But I wanted to do it in the United States of America because I've always been in love with the US. And I've always wanted to try to do a work experience and to challenge myself in the States. And luckily, everything went for the best.
Hello, everyone. I want to share my experience as well. Well, for me, I was attracted to the J-1 visa because, I mean, just like Andrea said, growing up, I've always wanted to try how it is living in the US. I didn't experience that in during high school, and I think it was a natural step of my career as I studied in the university outside of my hometown, and so I started living alone doing this stuff. And the next step was going abroad. And of course, among the possible choices, the US is the most attractive for many of us in Italy. And that was the main reason to choose a J1 program, because I think that the length of the program is perfect for someone to understand fully how it is living in the place, but it also doesn't how do you say, link you too strictly to a place. So you're free to go home after a while and then reevaluate all the experience and choose what to do forward. And meanwhile, for the company, it's just because it's I mean, it's an alcohol business and wine business that works a lot with Italy. So it's something that would still have me connected to home, and where I think that being Italian is an added value. And that's what the combination of these two things, it's what made me apply for it.
Thanks so much. And then my next follow-up question to that, if you can both speak to what you have learned so far. Andrea, I know you just finished your program, what you have learned at training at the company, if there is particular project, for example, that you worked on that you're proud of, or it could be anything that you like to share.
Yeah, sure. Well, if I had to point out everything I learned in my experience, I would get emotional. So I will try to just tell what really helped me and helped me growth and whatever. I learned to be professional, to deal with daily life working struggles and how to overcome them, to be diplomatic, to respect and appreciate every culture. And then more specifically, working with a PhD tutor, really, it was very important for my communication skills, my writing skills. I learned how to write a scientific paper, which was very important and very cool. I mean, I couldn't write before that. I mean, so it was very interesting. So yeah, that's what I learned most. And besides all the people that I met, all the meetings that I had, I felt important every day going to work. Really, it was feeling like being an adult and having my life in my hands and be able to do whatever I wanted to do and to push my day. To push myself every day. It was incredible, and an incredible experience that really I will always bring with me.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing, for both of you, for sharing your experience. So very glad to hear that you've had a positive experience. And then if you could also, both of you, speak to any particular challenges you might have faced when you first arrived in the US, like I was mentioning earlier, for some candidates, they might experience culture shock or just navigating the American system. So if there's any insight you want to share on that, on any challenges that you encountered.
Sure. I mean, I had previously visited the US multiple times, so the cultural shock was not too big for me. But of course, living in a place is different than visiting. So aside from the things that Sylvia mentioned earlier, that can be like learning how insurance system works, or as Ricky mentioned, getting used to the food and this kind of stuff that are, I mean, inevitable and something that wherever you go, you will need to adapt. I think that in the US, I was very helped with these things. So it was mostly about finding an accommodation, but even there I was helped, so I'm grateful for that. And in the everyday life, it's something that as I said, I visited, so I knew what I was going into, and it's something that I'm still enjoying. And every day, it continues to require some small adaptments. But I would encourage everyone to do this because it's a continuous learning experience. And honestly, I have not found any real downsides at the moment, but perhaps later on, hopefully not, I will change my mind.
So as Giorgio, I had visited the US already, so I didn't have that big of a cultural shock. Yeah, as Ricky said, the biggest struggle was about food and water. And at least at the beginning, then I got used to. Uh, at first, I wasn't used to tap water, so for me, chlorinated water was like, oh my god, what the hell is this? But then, just it became normality. Um, Another big, maybe, yeah, healthcare system was like kind of interesting for me to understand. But since I didn't have any issue at all, so I didn't have any problem. I got a funny story. I remember the first Saturday that I was arrived. The first time I arrived to the US, not this time with the J-1 program, but still was a cultural shock. Um, I was going out. I was on an Uber, and at some point at a gas station, I heard a gunshot, and for me it was like, oh my god, we in Italy and Europe about that, but luckily it was the only one that I heard throughout all my experiences in the US. So, but yeah, probably that was the biggest cultural shock. And then I remember the first time at Walmart, the first time at Costco. I mean, just looking at these huge places with a lot of products was like really like a Luna Park for me. So it was very, very funny.
Thank you both. And yeah, so you'll different parts of the US has its own like subculture as well. So definitely on the East Coast, like New York, it's different than the West Coast, like the Midwest. So there's some nuances there as well. But thanks for sharing that. And if you could also both share, expand a little bit more on how your experience here in the US with the J-1 program, like how, in your view, how it's unique to a similar experience, internship that you would have completed back home in Italy or perhaps another country.
Well, on my side, I have had the opportunity to have a very diverse experience because even if it's marketing, due to the nature of our business, the targets of our marketing are very different. It goes from retail stores to other distributors that works in other states. So you can also relate to different states. And as you mentioned, everything is different from the east to the west coast. So you also need to adapt your marketing strategy based on that. And also, I've had the opportunity to do very diverse stuff in terms of media. Like some are just more digital campaigns, or while others are like actual physical demonstration around tastings of the product. So I've had the opportunity to follow my supervisor in many different activities and see how to relate to different people, because of course it's not the same whether you're talking to a big chain of a retail or if you're talking to the local liquor store. So that, I think it's something that is completely different from anything that I could have experienced in Italy. Also because in Italy it's generally more small businesses that do work within the Italy and its own people. So while being exposed to the American culture fully, because it covers all the states, is something that I think it's an incredible growth experience.
Working at the government center, of course, I had the pleasure to spend time with politicians, with the mayor. I was lucky enough to spend time with Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur, a chair of the environmental committee of the White House too. So attending rallies, attending speeches and whatever, council meetings. It was like really being a TV show. In Italy, this kind of stuff don't happen. There's just a huge difference between the people and then politicians. So it's like almost unreachable. And I can say that in the US, anything is possible. And for real, with hard work and focus, you can achieve whatever you want. And in Italy, unfortunately, especially for young people like me, like Giorgio, these kind of opportunities are far to be real, unfortunately. Um, America believes in the young generation, in our talent, in our vision, in our energy. And for real, as I said to that chairwoman of the White House, I told her, here in the US, you can feel, you can breathe in the air, that really you can do, you can be whoever you want, and you can achieve everything. So meritocracy is real, and just I'm so grateful. And I will always be grateful to Toledo City Council office, Councilwoman McPherson, Ricky, Toledo Sister Cities International, and the Italy America Chamber of Commerce for giving me this huge opportunity. And I'm just, yeah, sometimes it's like a dream, you know? So, yeah.
Thanks so much, Andrea and Giorgio, for sharing your experiences and your insights here on the J1. And before we turn it to Q&A, just wanted for last minute for all of you, like Ricky, Sylvia, Giorgio, Andrea, if there's anything else you wanted to share with the audience, like a last minute like invite input or a piece of advice on the J-1 program that you didn't cover like earlier, like you can, yes, you can share it now.
I would just say that we were lucky that we already found a partner in Italy to recruit student, someone to actual well-qualified students to participate. Had we not had that partnership and identified a university that really suited what we were looking for nicely, I don't know how we would have found a international intern, especially with Italy, because that was our latest sister city was Ferrara. And so we're paying a lot of, we're investing a lot of time and energy in Italy right now. And so the fact that we went through the Italian chamber and we had found a partnership with a university in Italy, that really helped. Had that not been the case, I don't know where we would have started.
Thank you.
The J1 program can really change your life, as Giorgio said before, and really it's just an incredible experience. You're giving to someone an opportunity to leave something incredible, and that can really open doors for the future, for a career, whatever. So it's not something, it's you can help others, and that's very good.
Thank you. Sylvia or Giorgio, anything else you wanted to add?
I think the only last things that I can say is what I can, having witnessed several trainees and interns coming here to our company, is that I always saw like an evolution because this kind of experience make these people grow, just not professionally, but also like as a human beings. And it's always been like a very good opportunity for us, and we're gonna keep doing that. And it's both great for the company and the people coming here. So I guess it's a very good opportunity that everyone should try if they have the chance.
I mean, like I said earlier, I think that and like Andrea confirmed, it's something that completely changed your life, and it seems like it's a long time, 18 months, but it is flying very, very fast. So it's something that everyone should do, because in today's world, having an international experience, it's something that will always be useful no matter what you will end up doing later on. So I would really recommend it to everyone considering this possibility.
Thank you so much for all of you for sharing your insights and your experience using the J-1 program and working with us, Italy America Chamber of Commerce. So we have a few minutes left, so I just wanted to open the floor to the audience. If you had any questions for me or for our panelists, you can put them in the Q&A. And I also put in the chat again our contact information. If you had, if you want to follow up in more depth regarding our J-1 program. So no questions. And you could also, I know I mentioned our different events we have throughout the year. Those are, we post them on our website and also on our social media. So you can also, yes, check us there as well. Okay, so if there are no, doesn't seem like there are any additional questions. So if there's no additional questions, we can finish here a few minutes early. So I just want to, behalf again on Italy America Chamber of Commerce, thank our audience members for being here today, and also our panelists, Andrea and Giorgio, providing their insights on their experience as a J-1 exchange visitor, and Ricky and Sylvia as well for providing their insights on their experience as a J-1 host and supervisor as well. We really appreciate the feedback you had and insights you provided to our audience members. So we'll end the webinar here. And like I said, for any further questions, follow up, you can reach out to me directly regarding the J-1 program. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if anyone wants to ask questions later, I'm happy to take any emails or whatever. If you want to forward them to me, I'm happy to answer any questions or help in any way I can. Thank you.
Thanks,
Yes.
Ricky.
The same here. Thank you.